If you watch this video, you should be good for a couple weeks.
Welcome back to HIVEMIND Unlimited.
And welcome to the 11th episode of our series, How Did It Age? Where we watch old movies and see how they've aged with modern context. This is our first horror movie, 2002's The Ring.
Ooh, God, this is spooky.
I remember this being a huge movie when I was a kid, and everybody was really scared of it because I was a kid. And
Yeah.
So I was hanging out with other kids who watched it, and they were freaked out by it.
It's a freaky one. It is a remake of the Japanese horror movie Ringu.
Which I thought was about a lizard.
Johnny Depp's life is a horror movie. A lot of people love the original. Did kind of start the trend of American remakes of Japanese horror and kind of revitalized the American horror genre.
The Grudge.
The Grudge, Dark Water, Shudder, The Eye, The Ring 2, The Ring and the Three of Us, 2.5 Rings. But this one's directed by Gore Verbinski, who is a total badass.
His name's Gore, and he makes horror movies. I mean, come on.
He also made like 3 of the Pirates of the Caribbeans. And he was a punk rock guitarist who sold his guitar as a teenager to get his first camera.
Wow, what a story.
That's badass.
I guess.
That's cool.
Whatever.
All right. This movie did very well in the U.S. It made $249.3 million on a $48 million budget. It was received really well. It's got a 7.1 on IMDb, 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, 57% on Metacritic, and our guy, Raj, did not like it.
What did he say about it?
He gave it a thumbs down and said it's ridiculous.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough, I guess.
This is a time where most horror movies in the U.S. are slasher based. And that was kind of like our pocket of horror. And this kind of opens that window of supernatural investigation. Our characters aren't just like lambs to slaughter per se. They're like seeking out what's going on instead of just like,
Yeah, they're trying to solve the mystery.
there's something like developing. You feel as if they have a chance kind of deal. And that, to me, has always been my favorite kind of horror movie.
Yeah, I like psychological thrillers more than I like just standard horror movies.
Yeah, I like a mystery to be involved
Yeah, totally.
and a chance at solving it. This movie stars Naomi Watts, Martin Henderson, Brian Cox, little Danny Dorfman as Aiden.
He's a little firecracker.
He's awesome in this.
Yeah, he's great.
He's cold.
He's a weird kid.
He is cold as shit.
Or he's a normal kid who acts like a weird kid, which is even more impressive in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe due to his distant relationship with his mother. You got to remember too, being a single mom in 2002 was a lot harder than it is today.
Being a single mom in 2002 was harder than even being cursed by a VHS tape.
Yeah, potentially.
I think so.
If you throw that into the mix, it makes it really hard.
It makes it super difficult, yeah.
There are so many things that are cool about this movie that we're going to get into, including all the hidden rings. Did you find all the hidden rings?
Yeah, I found him.
Oh, you did?
Whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You found all of them?
Whatever.
Everything's a ring.
Yeah, there's rings. I get
A
it.
lot of circles.
Yeah, I get
The
it.
clocks.
Yeah, the clocks. Yeah, they're circles. Like
Something's on the clothes.
They're like a ring.
Yeah. And there's a lot of hidden horses. Did you notice all the horses?
I don't think they're hidden. There's just
Oh, there's hidden horses. Did you know that Aiden's school teacher in that first scene where they're talking about the art, she's got little horses on her shirt?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say she was a horse.
She was a horse.
Which is fucked up to say.
Have you seen this movie before?
No, too scary.
Oh, really?
I literally had not seen it. Everybody in my grade school all watched it. They all talked about it, whatever.
You were like, fuck that.
I wasn't even like, I don't even think it was like, oh, that'll be too scary. I just had never watched horror movies. So I just didn't even care.
I was 8 when this came out. I wasn't chomping at the bits to watch a ghoul come out of a well and then out of a TV and then scare the daylights out of me. I wasn't stoked on that. I don't think I watched it until maybe 2006, the dawn of my teenage years. I finally got around to it, and I think I was spooked. I think it's fair to say I was pretty spooked.
Were you?
Yeah, I was so afraid of horror movies as a kid. Wild imagination. First time I watched The Exorcist, I don't think I slept for a week.
Really?
I cried. When she came crab walking down those stairs, I cried. I wept.
I will say as an adult, didn't scare me.
No.
So this movie is about a cursed VHS tape, basically. That's kind of the idea. You watch this movie, and it's kind of like a shitty short film, kind of like a student film or something. And when you watch it, then 7 days later, you die.
Yes.
But first you get a phone call, which is another ring.
Yes.
Goes, ring, ring. You answer the phone, and then it goes 7 days.
Yeah.
And then you have 7 days until you die, and when you die, it just kind of happens. You just kind of, your face turns all fucked up, and then you die.
Yeah, but Samara's, you got to see a screen.
Well, yeah, you have to see a static screen.
Yeah. Or any screen can become static.
Right, because like they turn the TV off and then the static turns back on. Whatever.
It's really about the psychic powers of this little cursed girl.
Yeah, it's a cursed girl who her dad loves horses, she hates horses, and her mom pushed her in a well and left her down there for a week.
And she can imprint images onto photo paper using her mind. And that's how she puts the curse into the videotape because it's on photo paper. And so she uses her mind to put it on there. And then when someone watches it, that passes the curse along. And you have to keep showing it to people to pass it along. And that's the only way you can get freed from it.
See, that's the part that I don't get because I understand, like, oh, you make a copy of it or whatever, and you show it to somebody else. Does it really free them from the curse? Because why did 4 people die at the same time at the beginning of the movie?
Well, none of them made copies.
Oh, and you have to physically make a copy.
Yeah.
And like that's the only way.
That's why Rachel, Naomi Watts' character, is freed at the end because she realizes she like sees her copy like under the bed, the one she throws.
Yeah.
And then Noah, Martin Henderson's character, has watched the original one, and that's why he dies.
And the kid, he lives because she uses his hand to make another copy.
Yes, and then they have that conversation at the end about who they're going to show it to. And they decide that they're going to like show it to a bad person or something.
She is basically just trying to get the word out on her suffering.
Yeah.
But like the video doesn't, like, yeah, if you want to dig super deep into those clues like Rachel does throughout the movie, sure. This is like, if I watched that and didn't know the context of it, I'd be like, what the fuck is this? I wouldn't know anything about Samara.
Yeah, your ass would be grass.
Well, yeah, because I wouldn't show it to anybody because I'd be like, why the fuck? And I wouldn't also, you know what? We'll get into it later. Let's get into the best line.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to say about this movie.
There is.
I just want to say, I thought we were going to be doing this about comedy movies, and it is difficult for me to pick best lines from a horror movie. You know what I mean? So I wrote down 2 lines that I thought were funny.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
I'll start with those, and then you can kind of get into the drama.
Sure.
So at the beginning of the movie, when these 2 girls are hanging out, and one girl tells the other girl, it's Rachel's niece, tells her friend, Becca, that she watched a movie that they say is going to kill you in 7 days. And it's like an urban legend. It's talking about that. And then the phone rings and they're freaked out by the phone. And then Becca goes and answers it and acts all scared. It's kind of like a false scare.
Yeah.
That's like the beginning of the movie has a lot of those, which I did appreciate. But she pretends to be scared on the phone. Then she goes, "It's your mom," and hands it to her. She's talking to her mom on the phone. And during that conversation, Becca just says, "Hey, ask her where she keeps her Vicodin."
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Which is a hilarious line.
And then the screen goes static for the first time there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does. And the other one is where Rachel's talking to some horse lady or something, and she says, "No offense, ma'am, but what the hell does that mean?" It's just a very funny delivery, and those were my favorite lines from the movie The Ring.
It's a horror movie, so you're going to have, even when it's like directly about the thing, if they're not like just absolute class actors, it's going to be awkward. Even like Brian Cox's lines, he is like one of the best ever. If you made anybody else do those lines, it's like, what are we doing here?
Right, totally.
And a lot of that falls on Martin Henderson, who arguably isn't, he's not Brian Cox, and he's definitely not even Naomi Watts. And a lot of his lines come off really funny.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like he's pretty good. I did not really have a problem with his performance overall.
Yeah. The one line I have written down that I thought was the funniest is the dude from the OC.
Adam Brody.
Yes, they're at like the cousin's wake or the niece's wake, and she goes outside and is smoking a cig and chopping it up with the other teens who are all talking about everybody else that's died. She asks something like, what drug was she on? And Adam Brody, right? He chimes in and goes, "It's not about that. It's about the tape, the one that kills you when you watch it," and then goes into like a whole info kind of blurb about it. And his delivery is just hilarious.
It's a very weird delivery, even
Super
for Adam
weird.
Brody. I was like, what is he doing? And he only has one scene, so.
Like I said earlier, Brian Cox's lines are awesome. He is like so scared and like freaked out. And obviously you learn that he's like a guy who's on the verge of killing himself in the most elaborate way of all time. I'll get into that in scenes. But I love his line when Rachel first goes to the farm. She finds him out in a field that's empty of horses, just kind of banging a nail on a fence post, just, and he's like, taking his gloves off. Work never stops around here. It's a guy who's seemingly just working to keep his mind off his devil daughter that his wife killed by throwing in a well. And when he's inside, Rachel's like, do you have time to answer a few questions? He's like, I got a lot of work to do today. A lot of acres out there. And right when I think I'm done with one thing, there's another. I don't know. It's Brian Cox, and he doesn't get many lines in this, and it's just so serious. It's so funny to me. When they figure out Samara dies in the well, Noah and Rachel are having a conversation, and one of them says, I just can't imagine being stuck down in a well all alone like that. It's like, yep, that's like the whole point that's going on here.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite line in the whole film is when Noah's like starting to begin to believe that this is real and things are adding up for him. And he goes into that carry out and he buys a pack of Lucky Strikes. And the girl at the carry out says, you're going to die, And it's like ramped up. Like he's starting, the fear's like real within him. And he like snaps at her. He's like, and she goes, my uncle smoked for whatever, a bunch of years. Took the patch, never looked back. And she's like just advising him not to smoke cigarettes. And then he looks up in the security camera and sees his face is all messed up, books it out of there. And then it's like kind of the climax from there.
I do like that this movie plays with that a lot, where like you can be scared of the outside, like, oh, somebody knows, or there's like whatever, but all of that stuff is just coincidence.
Yeah, it just fuels like the paranoia.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Gore Verbinski does a badass job. And then watching like other breakdowns of this and all the subtle things you miss the whole time, the acknowledgement to the source material I really appreciate in this. Like even in the first scene, the two girls are wearing like traditional Japanese schoolgirl outfits. There's like a bunch of little nods to the OG film, which I think is cool and sad, and we shouldn't have done it. And I'm glad we did. Lastly, I have in lines, Rachel comes home to the babysitter sleeping in front of the static TV, wakes her up and is like, oh, everything's fine. He's such a sweetheart. He tucked himself in, and you learn the word conundrum. Scene ends and you're like, that was weird. Like, why did we figure that out? The next scene, Aiden's with Noah, and Noah's trying to like justify why he's a bad father, but he wants to be a better father. Aiden's just like, yep, it's a conundrum. And he's like, oh shit, yeah, it is. It kind of is a conundrum. Why do you know that word? You're 7.
For me, the worst scenes come in the middle of this movie. It kind of loses steam about halfway through for me. Too much research, really nerdy. And honestly, it's more that it's just like repeating kind of the same thing. I feel like they're trying to find clues in like the same places.
Yeah.
And you figure it out, like what is going to happen, at least in the research.
Yeah.
You find out what is going to happen, and then you just kind of have to wait for all that to like happen and take place.
Yeah, it doesn't pick back up steam until she heads to the island.
Yeah, even then, it takes a minute.
Yeah.
It takes a minute. Until the horse scene, I wasn't all the way like back in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll get to that in best scenes, but also, at the beginning of this, the reason that the first girl even sees the tape is because she goes on a trip with a guy that she's secretly dating. His name's Josh. But him and his friends are going to a cabin to tape a football game.
I mean, I don't know if that's why they went.
That is what they said they went for. And first of all, that's illegal without express written consent of the National Football League. So they should have been arrested. Even before the 7 days, they should have gotten them for piracy. But secondly, I just don't like it because since when do cabins have better reception than the city? Like they're going out to a cabin so that they can tape a football game because the reception on the TV there is going to be better?
I think they were going out to the cabin to fuck. That's what kids do.
Okay, but why would they lie and say they're doing something illegal? Tell their parents, hey, we're going to commit a crime out in the woods. Instead, oh, we're not going to hook up or nothing.
Dude, you're reading into the weirdest part of this whole movie.
I don't know. I think Adam Brody and the boys should have been arrested.
There's like this implied history between Rachel and Noah before you realize that they sired a child together.
Yep.
The chemistry is not even really there to be like, they definitely used to fuck.
Yes, it is.
I don't think it is.
It absolutely is. I knew right away when they entered out. These two used to knock boots.
I see. I didn't get it.
I said those two were knocking boots back in the 80s.
He just seems like a dude who still wants to get laid in the beginning. That's all it seems like.
Yeah.
But the scene where she storms out of his apartment after like he introduces her
Is that
to
his apartment? Because if that's his apartment,
it's unbelievable.
It's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's one of the sickest pads in any movie of all time. The whole roof is a skylight.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a factory.
He lives on top of a factory.
Yeah, I don't know why that's his place.
And it's full of $1,000 pieces of furniture, Eames chairs and nice couches.
Yeah, and his hot-ass goth girlfriend who's from the NCIS show.
She also goes to Kirkland University where he met Rachel. And so he's just cycling back.
It's like Matthew McConaughey says in that other movie. We get older, they stay the same age. It's messed up.
Goth girls stay the same age.
Yeah, it seems like he's just dating college gals.
Yeah, she storms out all flustered and is like, this is the part where I tell you never grow up, and this is the part
Rachel does, by the way, not the hot goth girlfriend.
Yeah, she doesn't got much to say the whole time.
Yeah, she's just kind of like, what's up?
The scene of Rachel storming out, I didn't like a lot.
She's like, you're flaking on this, too. When he never flaked on it, said he was into it.
Yeah, he wanted to help her.
It was just like she felt uncomfortable being around him with his new girlfriend because they sired a child together. I do feel like it gets explained later.
Yes,
but
it does.
When I watched that scene, I was like, what is she tripping about? Like, she
I
doesn't
was
seem
like,
like
he
a
was
type to
helping.
trip. Yeah, he was helping out. So...
Yeah.
I agree, it's an awkward scene, but they do kind of, they explain it, which I kind of like.
Yeah, and then she does walk out and walks right under a ladder, which is a great scene.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. And the guy's like, hey, mister, don't walk under that. You know what they say.
I don't remember it being delivered that way, but yeah.
And then there were a lot of rings.
Yeah, we talked about the rings. Yeah, there's a lot of rings.
Pretty much in between all of these scenes we're talking about, there's a lot of rings. It's a fun little game to play. When there's a ring, drink. You could do that.
A ring drinking game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I like the VHS like splashed onto the actual movie too.
Oh, yeah.
Like they'll show like the actual ring will pop up like for 2 frames or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do like that and I noticed it and I thought I was going crazy.
And it's cool even like in the first death, Katie's death or whatever, all the scenes from the tape like flash in like 2 frames.
Yep.
The tree, the well, the combing the hair, the horse, all that shit like and it just goes away. It's cool. You only notice it when you really slow it down.
Scenes that I liked. Any scene with the kid, his attitude is so funny.
Yeah.
And he just is a fantastic performance from him.
I think
He's
so,
a
too.
full-grown man in a little kid's body.
Yeah.
He's like, yep, I'm off to work to his mom who's like sleeping. And then she, for the other thing that I love about this movie, and I genuinely do love it, but it's ridiculous, is where the fuck is the kid and how is he surviving when she's just out on these missions? Like, I know they explain it sometimes where she has like her sister watch him or whatever, but some of the time, like it seems like she does 3 days of research work that entails her just kind of like going all over the city to different places to scan shit, and he's just seemingly not around.
I think it seems like a lot, but you know, we do have a tight time we're working with here.
Yeah.
It's really only a week. She gets the sitter for a weekend, and then maybe in some of the other instances, I mean, he's tying a tie on the way to the funeral.
Yeah.
He's tying his own tie. He's got himself dressed. He's standing on a chair.
He also calls his mom Rachel, which is awesome.
Yeah, it exemplifies the distance that they have as a family.
Well, yeah, just that he sees her as an equal.
Yeah.
They're peers.
Colleagues.
Yeah, totally. But I also thought the special effects were surprisingly good for 2002.
Yeah, they're solid and they're subtle.
Yeah, but I mean, we've watched some movies with bad... Like, I watched Signs recently, and that movie was made the same year. And the VFX in that movie it's laughable. It like looks outrageous, and all you can do is laugh. And in this movie, when she crawls through the TV, all of that stuff, or when they're like somebody's covered in slime or whatever, all of that stuff feels extremely real. And I can't imagine that the horse scene was not VFX.
Yeah, I'd hope not.
That scene, by the way, is so badass.
Oh, it's crazy.
The horse jumping off the side of a boat
And like knocking itself on the way down, like it's like sloppy. It's not. They could have just chose for a clean jump.
Yep.
But like it trips itself and like tumbles in. It
falls like dead weight into the water. It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's
like
very crazy.
That whole scene is just wild.
They go from front to back and they're like waiting for it to wash up, and then it just goes red and the little girl screams. Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, that's great. The whole movie's shot super well. I love the color grading in this. When you said to me while we were watching it that this guy went on to do the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, I was like, that makes sense because it's kind of like got this green,
super green,
blue and green kind of like mix to it. And
Yeah.
that's always the thing with Pirates of the Caribbean. People love color grading in those movies. And I thought it was fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, it's like he said intentionally all very green just to make it feel unnatural, and that gives you like the queasiness.
Yeah, overall, I thought this movie was like very well put together, well structured. There are a lot of great scenes, but just the whole movie is better than the sum of its parts, even in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. One last I want to tag into my bad scenes. There's something funny just about this era and how research is done, you know, because like computers just aren't up to speed quite yet.
Yeah.
And so when she's trying to find the lighthouse that she discovers in the stretched tape, the scene of her going to the library and just getting Lighthouses of the World, the big book.
Lighthouses of America.
Yeah, Lighthouses of America.
So it's not as many.
Right, but she's just like, all right, where is it?
Yeah, she's looking for the exact picture. And I made note of that while we were watching it and said, like, okay, that's ridiculous to just go photo match in a book. But then I was like, but all of these are photo paper. So she knows that this is a scan and went to the library nearest to where Samara lived.
Totally.
So there are like little things there that make it be like, okay, I understand how she got to this conclusion.
Yep.
And the technology would lead you to that as well. But I'm just kind of like, it was a little funny that I'm like, oh, if somebody gave me a week to just do that, I couldn't do it. Go find the lighthouse that is scanned on the side of this VHS tape. Like, no shot.
A scene that I really love, and one thing that becomes like a symbol throughout the whole movie, is when she first goes to cabin 12 and the shot of the tree behind her as she walks in is like so ominous, and it's a Japanese maple. Another nod to source material, and the fruit of the Japanese maple is called
the ring fruit.
Samara.
Oh,
nice, right?
Interesting.
That's nice. Yeah. Everybody likes that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the first dream sequence she has, I love everything about that.
When she pulls the thing out of her
Yeah,
mouth?
she's like on the phone. It's pouring rain outside. She chokes on a glass of water and is like coughing, and like her sister's talking in the background like, what's wrong? I can't watch your kid all the damn time. And then the water starts to come out of the phone and she's choking, and she pulls hair out of her mouth that is attached to like one of those electrical nodes of the shock treatment that Samara went through. And then she runs into her son's room to find the ring of water with Samara sitting on it, and she goes and gets touched and burned, and then wakes up to Aiden watching the tape.
Yeah.
And it was all like, wow. Like as that happens, she wakes up, he's not in his room, runs out, and he's just sitting in front of the screen. That's like such an early hype moment. You're like, oh, fuck. And she really gives it her all in the scream.
Oh, she is like that. It really like got me.
Oh, it's a good
like,
scream.
She is so.
No.
And she's like, no, why did you watch it?
Why did you do that,
like,
baby?
I couldn't sleep.
Yeah. And that's like the first scene she shows crazy affection for him too.
Yeah.
Realizing that his clock is now ticking too. Before that, when she shows the scene to Noah, I love that scene where she's like biding her time. She's like walks out and is looking through all the apartment windows. These are things I learned in another breakdown. I didn't just notice these on my second watch ever. She's looking in all these other apartments. She sees a woman leave her kid to go out into a balcony and have a cigarette. Another person like cleaning their house while a Japanese program's on TV. And then in the third window, she sees a guy with a broken leg in a wheelchair who's watching like an old race, and he has binoculars on his windowsill. And this is a nod to Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, where that character in that movie looks through all of his neighbors' windows while he has a broken leg that he broke while photographing a race.
Oh.
Which is just like that amount of detail into like her just glancing through windows. Is
I
like,
caught that.
That's sick.
I picked up on that.
Yeah.
I
And then there
that
was
one.
like a ring on her shirt.
Yeah, there's rings throughout the movie. We got that.
And the whole time,
I know.
some people have rings on their hands.
Yeah, people wear rings, man. It's not that, yeah.
And then when Rachel returns to the Morgan Ranch the second time, Brian Cox gets his initial monologue, a lot of work, a lot of acres, whatever. But the second time she goes back, and Noah's like racing there because he realizes that the tape he tries to find of her being like whatever questioned at the psychiatric facility is gone. She realizes that Richard has it, Brian Cox, and he's racing to get there. She goes into the door that's cracked open, which is just classic horror movie, like, hello? I guess I'll walk in.
Yeah.
And then she finds the tape, the centipede, which is in the tape, crawls out. She pops that sucker on, and he appears behind her. And then that whole leading up to him destroying himself with every piece of every electronic that's on the island.
Yeah, he's got...
It's like a Marshall stack.
I'll tell you one thing. One toaster would have done it.
Why does he need that many things?
He's got every wire, every gadget and gadget.
Plugging them in.
Everything's like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I've got to do it. I don't...
She never sleeps.
Yeah. And
he dies in water.
Yeah, totally.
Which somebody else did.
Samara.
Samara also died in water. That's cool.
And so did the horse.
So did the horse. Last thing I have for scene, just back on Rings, the final scene with Noah when he you get this whole false ending. You think it's all.
That's what I was gonna say. The false ending is my favorite scene in the entire movie because you get this little bow tied on the entire thing. Like there's even they go as far as to have Noah have these cheesy lines to Rachel because they seem to have like found their care for each other and their care for Aiden as well. And it almost feels like, okay, now they're going to get back together and raise Aiden together. He's like, call me tomorrow. And the day after that.
Yep.
And the day after that. And then I'm like, oh, this movie's about to end. Happy ending. I was like, how is there a second movie of this?
Yeah.
And then it all takes a turn because Aiden's like, you're not supposed to help her.
She never sleeps
Yeah.
in the little blood. And then it cuts to his apartment and he picks up his coffee mug, perfect ring on the newspaper. Mm-hmm. The article where he leaves his coffee ring is like the article explaining this guy it's the guy that she's supposed to be writing the story about in that scene where her boss comes over and is like, no, you got to do it about this killer. And she's like, I'm working on something too big. That article is that guy. That guy's story like ties into the second one.
Oh, okay.
Didn't need it, but it's like
That's awesome,
Again, it's
though.
like
Yeah.
awesome detail. Like they wrote like a whole fake article, and if you pause it and zoom it, like it's like a gateway into the second, which is sick.
Yeah.
And then the scene of him dying is just crazy. And her, again, you get the phone call. This time it's her calling him. Pick up the fucking phone. She is driving like an absolute IndyCar racer over there, like dipping and dodging traffic. Gets over there, his face is all fucked up. The girlfriend on the elevator where she's cowering in the stairwell and like just can't say anything. It's awesome.
Yeah, the attention to detail in this movie is fantastic.
It's really great, and you love that with a horror movie instead of just the scary parts where he gets his head chopped off.
Yeah.
It's like the more details you learn and look into it, it really gives you an unsettling, creepy feeling.
No one would answer the call from an unknown number, so it wouldn't work. I will say I don't know the rules of this curse that well. Do you have to answer the phone for the curse to hit? Because all of them that answer the phone are the ones that die.
No, I mean Aiden doesn't die because they're going to pass the curse on, and when the movie ends, he's still got a couple days left.
I guess I don't know.
I think the phone is just kind of like the addedness on top, because I really think the way you allow Samara to like be the psychic evil that she is you have to watch her imprinted images that she gets from the devil or something.
Yeah, but if you never hear how long you have, then that seems like it goes against kind of the rules, curse rules.
Why
maybe?
do you have to know how long you have?
I don't know. Then why are they calling in the first place?
She's crazy. She's doing a psychic attack.
She's trying to give information to the person.
So they can
Hey,
get clues?
7 days. Like, what if she's just like, what the fuck? This person won't pick up. And then I can't tell them how long they have to live.
Yeah, I did think it was weird when she deleted the one message. She's like supposed to be this crack journalist who like wants all the details, and she just deletes one of the messages. What if it was like horses, horse?
Oh, yeah. Like, what if it's like, go to this island.
Yeah.
And my dad's over there and he loves his horses. And like, I fucking hate the horses because they're so fucking loud.
Yeah.
And they won't pay attention to me. Also, 7 days is how long that I could live at the bottom of a well. That's why it's 7 days till everybody dies.
Yeah, that's a great line when that happens.
Yeah.
Noah's dumbass sitting there. How long do you think you could survive down there in a well?
And Rachel's like, 7 days.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's sick.
I have cursed TikTok.
Right. I did that one in recasts a little bit.
My bad.
No, that's okay. I'll just get to it now. I would love to see a viral video version of this done well. Like 50 million people die. Maybe Mr. Beast puts out a video that kills you in 3 hours, adjusted timing for attention spans and inflation.
Maybe it'd be like 4chan. But we've done this like with Unfriended and stuff. You know, there's been bad internet videos that if you watch, a ghost can access you through the portal of the internet or something.
Right. I was talking to Hunter about it last night, and he was like, a viral video one would just it'd be so much carnage. If a video truly went viral and then everybody who watched it died, he's like, that's millions and millions of people dying.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
And I know, that would be super crazy.
And you know what? Even once I found out that that's the case, it'd be kind of hard for me not to watch
That's
it.
what I'm saying. I'd be so curious.
I'd be like, what are you
especially
watching?
if it's a badass. What if it's a video that's like, it's just top 20 animal interferences during professional sports?
Well, Travis Pastrana lands the first six-tuple backflip.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Or I put monster truck wheels on my Honda Civic.
fuck Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be really difficult not to watch it because then, and it could be called clickbait.
No.
And then they're all like bait. And then maybe it's a fish curse.
Try not to laugh. 20-minute video.
It's a shark. A shark comes through the screen and eats your face off. So it's like a Jaws thing.
I wish.
But there's like a trap remix of the Jaws theme.
I think this one's really hard to remake because I think this genre got expanded on a bunch.
Well, yeah, they've done a ton of other movies, but I'm saying like it's just like 2002 is the only time where this works.
Yeah.
Because it's the only time where people know what VHSs are. The only time where people don't. They'll just like answer a call from any number, and there's no caller ID yet for some reason. Nobody has cell phones.
Yeah, all that shit that sometimes makes a movie, like, if it's not directly about that technology and all of that technology plays a part in the movie, that almost takes away from it in a lot of other detective type movies. But this works really well because it needs it to be like this.
Yeah, it was exactly the time where it would work.
I want to do Skrillex as Samara because, admittedly, I didn't think too hard on recast.
Yeah, no, that's a good call though. That's a good call. She got the same hair. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much it.
Yeah, totally.
It was pretty much it.
Yeah, that's fun.
And maybe it's like your friend. Yeah, I don't know. He throws on a live DJ set.
Stop trying to add.
Bonnaroo, 2016, and then he comes through the TV and he doses you with fat.
Why do you say fet? It's fent.
Okay.
Fentanyl.
All right.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry for mispronouncing it.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't have to add anything. Yours was perfect. Skrillex is Samara.
That's
You don't have to justify yourself.
Come on,
It's all right. I said Haley Joel Osment as the little kid, and
Yes.
Bruce Willis should be Noah.
I love that.
I think that'd be cool.
And M. Night Shyamalan should have directed. No?
No.
Oh, okay.
You know the M in M Night Shyamalan stands for movies.
Movies Shyamalan.
Movies Night Shyamalan. Movie Night Shyamalan.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, M Night, movie night. Shyamalan. Here's the twist. We're watching movies. I don't know.
All right.
Whatever.
An underlying thing in this movie that makes it so fucking good is this is a Hans Zimmer soundtrack.
I knew that off the bat.
No, you
I
didn't.
knew it right
I
away.
told you halfway
I said,
through.
what is that, Zimmer?
Is that Zim on the keyboard?
It is a fantastic score, though.
It's perfect. It's quintessential. It's not overbearing. It's very eerie. It's awesome.
It's like 4-3 in soccer.
yeah.
Fantastic score.
Yeah, it is great.
Oh, yeah, great movie. I hadn't seen it. And so take it from me, I had not seen it. This is my first time watching it. It was for this video, and it was awesome. I'm not like, like one of my favorite movies. Not that, but it's worth watching.
Oh, yeah.
I think anybody could like it, too. I am not typically a big horror fan. I do like psychological thrillers, though, and it has an element of that.
Yep.
But just a very watchable movie.
Stupid watchable. And it boils down to those details that Verbinski bakes in there. And the Zimmer soundtrack, you have a cameo from this all-time great actor in Brian Cox. It just has
I thought you meant Adam Brody.
It just has all the right things in the right spot to like kind of keep it going. Like I acknowledge that it does get a little slow in the middle because, at almost 2 hours for any horror movie, that's a lot. I think it might be a little more comfortable at an hour 45, but again, you get to the end and the false ending kind of is so good that you kind of forgive those moments.
Yeah, even if you get a little bored in the middle, the horse scene wakes you up.
Yep.
And then the false ending really wakes you up.
Yeah.
And then the movie's over. So
Yeah.
it works. It's very watchable. If you have not seen it, I recommend it.
Yeah, I totally recommend it to anyone, especially fans of horror and especially anyone who's like into any of like the Y2K aesthetic. Because I think it just kind of scratches that itch away other horror movies. Like if someone's into horror and they haven't seen The Shining or Hereditary or something, it doesn't get that. There's only a few from this era, like I would say like Blair Witch and this kind of sum up that late 90s, early 2000s, and then maybe Sixth Sense.
I have an answer to that question, by the way.
What question?
Y2K, because it's an awesome basketball video game. That's why.
That's why we're playing it all night with snacks. Yeah, okay.
Now, you'll have to forgive me. I don't really understand the rules of this curse. So my review is 4 stars. 4 stars. Watching it every day just in case it pushes the death date back 7 days.
That's good. It's like asking the genie for more wishes.
I don't know.
You're cracking it.
There's a genie now? I thought it was a horse and a girl.
You haven't seen the second one.
Ah, fuck.
My review's 3 stars, and I would say really made me want to watch the original, which I'm just going to assume is better.
All right. Well, that's what we thought of The Ring. That's our first venture outside of comedy for the How Did It Age series. So please leave your suggestions down in the comment section. Also, join our Patreon or become a member on our main channel, HIVEMIND, on YouTube for $5 a month, and you get to know which movie we're watching for this series a week ahead of time, so you can watch the movie, and then you'll understand what the heck we're talking about while you're watching these videos.
And check out our newsletter. Sometimes we do polls or stuff on there that can help suggest what movie we're going to watch as well.
Yeah, our newsletter is powered by Beehive.
It's on Beehive.
And it will be linked in description. And there's some exclusive content on there, including a little interview with Quadeca.
Which is not scary.
Yeah, I didn't read it.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Thank y'all.
Yeah, we've been HIVEMIND Unlimited. See you later.
Bye.